77 WABC and Bergen Newbridge Medical Center honor the life of legendary broadcaster and our friend, Ernie Anastas.
Hi, it's Ernie Anastas. You know, your thoughts can affect how you feel. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in New Jersey, providing comprehensive, equitable, compassionate, and high-quality emergency inpatient and outpatient medical care, plus mental health services and substance use disorder treatment. The Bergen Newbridge team can address your total health needs in one convenient location. Call 201-225-7130 for an appointment or newbridgehealth.org.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Cats and Cosby on the Red Apple Podcast Network. Breaking news, WABC.
Well, we're back. And today, there's more news than we have hours.
I know. It's amazing, John. First off, on the Iran front, President Trump said, you will know when the ceasefire is over because Iran will just have one big glow. So he's basically saying, hurry up and come to the table. The deadline's supposed to be today, John.
Well, there's a lot of problems there. There's two factions in Iran. And the two factions are there's a faction that wants to make peace, and there's a faction that doesn't want to make peace. So that's why, even though they're hitting a few boats, President Trump has said, what did he say?
He called it a love tap.
A love tap.
He was like, it's a little tiny little thing.
But we'll see. We're going to see any day now. It's not. We're not going to wait too much. I mean, we have breaking news. What else?
Wait, here's another breaking news, by the way, since we got it.
Breaking news, WABC.
And John, this could be absolutely enormous for the midterms. A big decision from the Virginia Supreme Court about redistricting. Ed Cox, essentially, they slapped it down what the Democrats wanted to do the redistricting of the seats, saying it's not constitutional with their state's constitution. In other words, it's thrown out, right? So they can't redistrict.
And they can't appeal any higher. That's it.
Wow, so that's a biggie, Judge. Ed was just saying that's it, right?
What they were trying to do is trying to gerrymander to go from 6-5, break out to 10-1 for the Democrats. It was outrageous. They violated their own procedural requirements under the state constitution, and the Virginia Supreme Court correctly said, no go, it's wrong, you can't do it.
Wow. And John, you know what's amazing about that number is that in Virginia, it was about 6-5 in the last presidential election. So John, they were trying to turn it to 10-1. I mean, you can't make that up.
There were salamanders all over that map.
Yeah. What do you think of, Patterson?
It's a surprisingly wide margin when it's 10-1. And I think if they hadn't gone that far, the court might have ruled another way.
And by the way, 5 of the Congress members would have come out of Fairfax County. That's how bad a gerrymander was. 5 out of the 11 would have been out of Fairfax County.
So it was a salamander, more like a whale or a minnow? What do you think, Ed?
Both.
One big ocean.
One big ocean. Lots of strange
and I
creatures.
believe one of our reporters is calling in for breaking news.
Absolutely.
Breaking news, WABC.
And joining us now is our great reporter, Jake Novak, who also hosts on the weekends, too. So you got to make sure you listen to him. Jake, there's a lot of big stuff on Iran. Fill us in.
Yeah, I mean, when I start my show tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., I hope I get the news. I mean, I should have the breaking news at that point as well. We're waiting for this Iranian response to our peace terms. And right now, at this moment, I can tell you that Vice President J.D. Vance is meeting with the Prime Minister of Qatar at the White House. So we all know Qatar plays a mediator role for Iran. They try to dance at every wedding, by the way. But that's what's going on as well. That's in the offing. And on the other hand, though, from a not so encouraging point of view, you have a top advisor to the Ayatollahs in Iran saying that control of the Strait of Hormuz is Iran's atomic bomb, and they're not going to relinquish it. So a lot of talk. Right now, we're not seeing much. And by the way, the people with skin in the game, the oil traders, made it clear just how much in the dark we are because oil didn't move a hair today. I think right now, even in after hours trading where things are a little bit more volatile, it's only a 30-cent move. We're still at the $94 a barrel level, which is where we were at the beginning of the day. So we really are at the edge of our seat here to see what's going to happen. And it'll either happen during your show or mine. Let's make that deal right now.
We'll make that deal.
You mean 10 to 5? How's that song go?
Working 9 to 5.
Well, this is 10 to 5. You're on the 10.
Yeah, but it's close.
Right,
I'm working 9 a.m. to 5 a.m., so it's like Dolly Parton, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Well, thank you, Jake, for bringing us up to date, and we'll talk to you. And I'll be listening to you at 5 o'clock in the morning.
All right, I'll be up. We'll both be up. Okay.
All right. Now, I understand Lara Trump is on. You want to bring her in, Rita?
And joining us now here on Cats and Cosby is the host of My View with Lara Trump, the great Lara Trump. Lara, boy, first of all, huge win. I'm going to quote John. John said, common sense back in the courts for once with Virginia.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. This is exactly what we had hoped to see happen. You know, we've seen so many of these activist judges across the country really advocating against not just the Trump administration, but really our entire country, guys. And so for the Supreme Court to come back with this ruling, I think it was obviously a huge win. And look, this could really change a lot. You know, we understand that the reason the Democrats have, pushed all of this redistricting is simply because they know that their policies are not something for which the American people want to vote. So they're hoping they can just flip these districts and cram in, their people so that they can have more power when it comes to the U.S. Congress. This could be a game changer for Republicans. This is a very big deal.
Hey, and Laura, John Catsimatidis here. I am scratching my head. I got a bald spot now. I can't believe American people out there are listening to some of these bizarro ideas that some of these Democrats are coming from. There used to be a lot of common sense Democrats. What has happened to them?
Well, honestly, I think, John, the problem is that whenever you have so many of these radicals who are now kind of the base of the Democrat Party, look at who the face of this party is now. It's the Mamdanis of the world, it's the AOCs of the world. That's who really represents the Democrats now. And you're seeing that a lot of the people who at one time may have had more moderate positions, I'll take like a Kathy Hochul, for example, are now having to kind of kowtow to these crazy ideals where you see she's saying she's going to kind of double down on her anti-ICE rhetoric. She doesn't want any help from the federal law enforcement in the state of New York, where you have an overrun of these illegal immigrants. It causes so many problems. She and Tom Homan are in a little bit of a spat, but I think that's the big problem, is that when the base of your party and when the face of your party are radical socialists, this is the kind of thing that happens. It kind of just trickles down, and this is really who the party has become.
Is she just playing the violin to her supporters, knowing that Tom Homan takes no prisoners? He's going to come in and do what he has to do.
Well, that's right. He said he really doesn't care what she has to say about it. It's just somebody might want to tell her these are not Donald Trump's laws. These are the laws that the United States Congress voted on and put into law. And they're the laws of the land. And listen, there is someone, thank goodness, named President Donald Trump, who doesn't care what kind of nonsense these people are going to say. He's going to do the right thing by the country. I think that, you look at Kathy Hochul, she's up for re-election. And I think she's looking at the constituency that voted Mamdani into office. As crazy as it is, as much as we didn't want to see that happen, there are people who fell for it. And I think she's trying to hedge her bets and say, well, maybe I need to bend in that direction more. Maybe I need to be more like that, more anti-ICE, in order to assure herself a win. Now, I don't know that there's any assurance of anything. I think, quite frankly, people across this country are really sick of it. I'm looking out at California. I'm looking at the gubernatorial race out there. I'm looking at the LA mayor race right now. There's a lot that's been shifting. There's a lot that's been happening, and a lot of people are sick and tired of these crazy people. They want common sense. They want safety and security. And quite frankly, they just want their country back.
Laura Trump, you hit on two things. First off, I think we've been playing the Exodus music here on the show. And you think about what's happened with Ken Griffin. You think about Steve Roth. There's been a lot of that. And then also you brought up the California governor's debate. Oh, my goodness. Who was it? Katie Porter, who said the quiet part out loud in the debate. Yes, illegals should get free health care, and we need them essentially to beef up our population. I mean, there it is.
There it is. And, for so long, people said, well, why is it you would want an open southern border? Why is it you'd want people to just flood in here unchecked without any idea who they are, what their intentions are in our country? And we all said it's got to be because the Democrats are banking on them to win elections and to ensure the, kind of power that they have wanted to afford themselves remains in perpetuity. And sure enough, there it was, the quiet part out loud. Now, how Katie Porter has a snowball's chance at anything is beyond me. I mean, you saw her character in a lot of those videos that came out a couple of months ago. She seems to be a really disgruntled individual, not a nice person.
Yeah, get out of the shot, right? When she was screaming, remember that to her assistant.
Yeah, and that's not even the worst part about it. The worst part is that her policies are also terrible. So I don't know who's voting for her, but she said exactly what the Democrats have been doing for a long time. They want these people to be in their communities so that the United States Census counts them as part of their population, and it changes the voting maps, and it changes, their sway of power in Washington, D.C. and the United States Congress. We know exactly that to be the case, and thank you, Katie Porter, for stating it.
And tell us also about your show on Saturday, too. What do you? I know you've got some biggies.
Yeah, well, listen, John loves when I'm in a fighter jet or when I do anything cool like that. It's not a fighter
submarine
jet this weekend, John. But I'm closing in on the submarine sometime soon. I am on the Freedom 250 train with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. We rode from D.C. to Philly, and we rode with a group of fourth graders. And, guys, they have the most amazing things to say about America. If you are disheartened about the future of this country, please tune in and hear what these kids have to say, because it will actually really revive your spirit, and it'll make you feel a lot better about the future generations. I also have DHS Secretary Mullen on, talking all things about Department of Homeland Security. There's so much to discuss there. And then we're all getting ready for the UFC fight on the White House lawn. I had Dana White on last week. This week, I have two of the fighters, Michael Chandler and Bo Nickel, on, and they're really amazing. And then at the end of the show, the number one question I get, guys, is what is your workout routine? What do you eat? What is your, your health tips? I do a whole morning of workouts and food at the end of the show, so you want to stay tuned for that as well, so I can answer all the questions that everybody's had.
Lara, thank you for coming on this Friday evening, and happy Mother's Day on Mother's Day weekend. And my last thing, I don't want to go on the submarine. I get claustrophobia. But if the president gives you a ride or allows you to go on a ride on a UFO, I'd like to go with you.
Okay, noted. We'll check that box together, Don. I can't wait.
Thank you. And
Thanks, Laura.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Bye, honey.
Well, I always wanted a ride in the UFO. I mean, maybe it could be arranged.
That could be. I would love to do a yellow submarine.
Absolutely.
Like the Beatles.
No, it'd be out of this world.
I get claustrophobia. And now, at a new time slot on Friday afternoon at 5:15, the number one economist in our country, Larry Kudlow. Larry, how are you today?
Bye, kids. Bye.
Hi, Larry. How are you, Larry?
Hello.
7,400 on the S&P. Would you have believed it 3 months ago?
Heck yeah. Absolutely.
And how do they say? To the moon, Larry?
The Kudlow Trust is doing very well. It's all good.
How do you feel? Tell us about the pulse of what's going on.
Well, I think the big news is it's just how strong the economy is. So, all the lefty media harps daily on energy prices, especially gasoline, which of course has gone up to about $4.50, wherever it is. Okay, but what they don't tell you is it's had a minimal effect, really, on the economy. So you're getting good jobs numbers, You're getting good ISM numbers. You're getting very low initial unemployment claims. You're getting huge profits, which are the mother's milk of stocks. You're getting big productivity. And incidentally, if you look under the hood of today's jobs number, the category that's doing the best are the blue-collar workers, the production workers, not the white-collar workers. It's the blue-collar workers who are actually doing the best. I think a lot of that is because we finally closed the border and we're deporting a number of illegals. But anyway, today's jobs number was strong, private sector strong, but it's emblematic of the rest of the economy. Almost every number in the last couple months has been strong, and that includes the stock market.
And it's unbelievable. And the fact is, what President Trump is, you know him for a long time too, and you worked next to him side by side. Him and the Chinese leader, Xi.
Yep.
They have a deal already?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I'm not aware of it.
But I'm just asking you your gut feeling.
My gut tells me no. My gut tells me actually we're going into this meeting too soon because we haven't solved the Iran, what you might call the final touches. But, you know, you've had a 4-week ceasefire. I mean, don't get me wrong. I totally support Trump in this war. But you've had a 4-week ceasefire and nothing from Iran. No unconditional surrender, no nothing. And they're still fighting us in the Strait of Hormuz. So, in fact, oddly enough, Iran just attacked and picked off a Chinese tanker. So China is probably helping us or trying to help us by putting the heat on Iran. And my guess is that's going to occupy the meetings next weekend between Xi and Trump. I think originally it was going to be a trade discussion. We have a lot of vexing trade issues with China that are still unsolved, including purchasing our farm commodities and other things, including oil. But I don't think they're going to get there. I think it's going to all be about Iran. Well, I really do.
Well, Larry, I mean, we both we had dinner the other night and we talked about it, and I think there's two Irans. I think there's an Iran that wants peace, and I think there's an Iran that doesn't want peace.
Well,
so I think my belief is the reason President Trump said last night that how did you say it, Rita? He says a couple of skirmishes, or
he called it a love tap.
A love tap.
Yeah, like it was just a little bit of a trifling love tap. That's how he put it, Larry.
Yes, we covered it, but it's very hard to sort out the factionalism. But having said that, there is no question that the Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, is in control. And the Parliamentary Party is an offshoot of all these radical Islamists. The one part of that calculation, if you're looking at it in detail, is the so-called regular army, which we have not bombed and which are not made up of fanatical, radical Islamists. They're conscripts. They're draftees. And they're not in bed with that. They don't own businesses the way the IRGC does. But they haven't shown up on the radar screen for discussions. And I don't think that's who we're negotiating with. And so Rubio today, as you undoubtedly reported, Rubio today said you have to make up your mind about this so-called alleged one-page document. It's a document, by the way. It's not a final document. It's a document that will allow to open up further negotiations, which I don't like at all. But that's the fix we're in. So we'll see whether whether they say yes, no, maybe, whatever. And my hunch is bombing will wind up being resumed. That's what's going to happen here.
Well, there's some breaking news here. I don't know if it's out in the press yet, from oil people. The refinery in Louisiana, Chalamet, has had an explosion. and it's completely down. And they recently invested $600 million in that to produce diesel. Refinery completely down. I don't know what that means, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, that's a different story, but I hope nobody was hurt.
So the kinetic action that you're talking about, Larry, Ed Cox here, does it happen before the meeting with Xi, or does it happen afterwards?
I don't know the answer to that, Ed. And I guess you could say it will happen afterwards, but I wouldn't be so sure.
Yep.
I don't think the president feels constrained to get permission from China or anybody else.
Yeah, the meeting will go ahead, I'll predict. If it happens before, the meeting will still go ahead, despite
I would guess so. I mean, look, there's a lot of China experts, and I am sympathetic to this. They're saying, in effect, China has left its ally Iran. They don't like them. It's costing them oil. It's costing them blood and treasure. And as I said, Iran just stole one of their boats. They went after them, and this is in the Gulf, in the Strait of Hormuz. So China is not keen on what Iran is doing, and probably would like to see an end to it. And for all I know, may be helping us. But you just listen. You got crazy people running Iran. That is the problem. That has been the problem for 47 years, and that is the problem tonight. Crazy people. And there's no peacenik faction. The moderates are not moderate. All right? There are moderates in Iran, but they're not running the show. So I don't know how it's going to end. am not in possession of the kind of information that one needs to have to make decisions. I think Israel is ready to go. Israel has been the predominant bombing faction in our alliance, and I think they're ready to take out. They've been in charge of human resources and personnel. I think they're ready to take out.
That's a great way to put it, Larry. We love that one.
They're ready to take out this new gang of thugs that thinks it's in charge. God bless Israel.
Yeah, God. And by the way, they took out the Hezbollah leader this week too, so they're already working their human resources this week already, Larry.
I'm telling you, and they're not really keen on this Iranian crowd either. I don't think they're going to be hired.
I agree.
Larry Kudlow, you're on at 10 o'clock tomorrow, 10 to 1, and the number one show on Saturday mornings on Larry Kudlow tells us where the heck is going to happen next week in advance.
Some of them are not going to make it home tonight, John. That's my forecast.
Yeah.
Larry, thank you.
Larry,
have a great weekend.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
And let's take a break, and when we come back...
We have Newt Gingrich.
Newt Gingrich, well, you can't go wrong with Newt Gingrich. To me, he's always the Speaker of the House.
Katz and Cosby on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Come out to the ballpark this week as the Ferry Hawks welcome in the Charleston Dirty Birds May 5th through the 10th. Grab the kids and come on out. We kick it off on Tuesday, May 5th with Cinco de Baseball with $5 tickets and $5 food and beverage specials. And we end the week as we celebrate all moms on Mother's Day. Moms get in free. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Friday night. Well, we have Speaker Newt Gingrich with us. To me, he's always the Speaker. And, Newt, what the heck is going on in Europe? I mean, you're stationed there in Switzerland, so you're in the center of Europe.
That's literally true. If you look at a map. Where Clista's the ambassador in Switzerland, and she's right in the heart of everything. But I'll tell you, to me, the most fascinating thing this week was Marco Rubio, as Secretary of State, going to see the Pope, having apparently an amazing conversation. The Vatican issued a statement afterwards that was so good, you have to go kind of wonder if Marco wrote it himself. And I think this is part of a process we've been seeing now for about a year. If you go back and look at Marco Rubio's speech in Munich, it was so well done. Clifton and I watched it carefully, and you can get it on YouTube. I mean, he said tough things, but in a pleasant way. It was like a conversation with your in-laws where you got to tell them some hard things, but they're still your in-laws and you still love them. He did an amazing job. And I'm watching him emerge as a much more significant player, all the way down to the other day he was a disc jockey at a party. And, of course, I don't know if you've seen them, but there are these memes that go around that they'll show Marco. And the latest one was him sitting in a Spirit airline pilot suit on a bench, and it says the last pilot for Spirit Airline. But there've been like 10 or 12 of these now on the internet where somebody has figured out how to take Marco and put him in different strange situations. And I think he's emerging as a serious, very serious potential future leader for the Republican Party. And I think that the relationship he built with the Pope, which, remember, the president and the Pope had gotten into a pretty public disagreement in a way that wasn't very nice. And I think the Pope was probably as eager to get to closure as the Trump administration. And I think, from everything I can tell, and as you'll remember, Cosby used to be the ambassador of the Vatican, so we have pretty good ties and a long period of living in Rome. From everything I can tell, this was a remarkably successful meeting.
I agree with you 100%. Sunday morning, what else? What else are your thoughts? Mother's Day today. Are kids and grandkids going to be safe in America? Or we're going to have a civil war? I mean, it's such crazy things that are going on.
Well, that's exactly right. I realized the other day that all this talk about socialists is misleading. These people are crazy. They're not socialists. Steyer, who's running for governor of California, has proposed, is a billionaire. He's proposed that we bring back everybody who ICE has deported. Now, if you look at the number of murderers, rapists, drug dealers, child exploiters that were in that list, you have to look at it and think, this guy's just crazy. You have in your city, John, you have Mondami saying on the one hand, he really wants more affordable housing. On the other hand, he wants to raise property taxes, which is exactly the opposite of what you do if you want more housing. And every time I turn around, I'm watching these guys do things that don't make any sense, and also that sort of put them at opposition to the American people. I mean, if you look at this whole issue of the SAFE Act, something like 85% of the American people think you should be able to show some kind of identity to prove you're an American before you vote. And yet the Democrats have been blocking this bill for months. And you find this kind of stuff over and over again. And I think it's pushing us towards a remarkably different election this fall than anybody in the liberal elites currently believes.
Which way do we go this fall? Right now, I think if the election was today, it would go one way. If the election is in September with all the right things happening, it's going to go the other way.
Look, I was very active in 1988 when Vice President Bush was running. And in May, he was 19 points behind Governor Dukakis. 19. By Election Day, with a good campaign that got people to understand how radical Dukakis was, Bush won by 8. So he literally had switched every fourth American during the campaign. And now, I mean, the one caveat is Trump will have to get the price of oil down. And the reason is simple. When people go out to buy gasoline, they stand at the pump and they watch the price. Now, there's no other single point in American life where you are more cost conscious than standing next to that gas pump watching the price go up. And I know Cliff and I yesterday were driving through McLean, Virginia, and premium was $5.29. Well, it used to be under $3. And so the one caveat to all of this is Trump has to get the price of gasoline down. If he gets the price of gasoline down, I think you'll find that we are going to have a surprisingly big Republican win. But that I think is the key bridging element.
Well, Speaker Newt Gingrich, thank you for your input on a Friday night, and God bless you and God bless America, and let's hope it's a great Mother's Day weekend.
I was going to say, have a great Mother's Day weekend, John, and I know Cliff and I are looking forward to it. And we'll talk to you in the near future.
Wow.
He sounds great. I love Newt and Calista.
And when I said he's in the middle of Europe, he's in Switzerland. His
Calista,
Calista is the ambassador to Switzerland, so he gets the pulse of everything going on all over Europe.
You know why I like Calista? Because she's half Polish. So that's why I like her.
I think Newt likes her too.
Well, I think he does.
How about the top news of the day brought to us by Goya Foods, by one of my favorites.
And here are some of the big headlines, John and guys, by Goya. We love our Goya beans. President Trump says the current ceasefire is still in effect, and he warns Iran to accept the latest U.S. peace deal. He said the deadline is today. Let's see what happens. The U.S., he says, would knock them out a lot harder and a lot more violently if Tehran doesn't accept the deal. And former FBI Director James Comey's trial over his 8647 social media is on track to start July 15th. Comey is facing federal charges, including threatening the president. Federal prosecutors have argued that the image showing those seashells arranged on a beach read 8647 was a threat against President Trump. Comey denies the charges. And Ed, boy, that was the most creative beach I've ever seen. He just stumbled upon 8647, right?
Isn't that just a coincidence? And then he puts it out over the internet?
Yeah, what a beach, huh?
Yeah, well, hell of a beach.
What did you think of?
It was actually a basketball score. That's what he was looking at.
Oh, that must have been. That must have been. Spoken like a good politician, Governor Patterson.
Let me tell you something. It's one thing to look at it on the beach, and then another thing to tweet it out.
Yeah, he posted it.
Give me a break.
Right.
I agree.
Give me a break.
And John, former FBI director, he went after the mob. You know what 86 means.
Yeah. You gotta believe, you gotta be real stupid if you believe what he says.
Right, that's the problem. I happen to stumble on it.
I respect the FBI 100%.
Absolutely.
But, there's always that 1/10 of 1% that in any organization that are, how do I say it? Wackos.
Exactly, that's a good way to say it.
In any organization, you're always gonna find that 1/10 of 1%. And the people with leadership have to be able to recognize that 1/10 of 1%.
And what if he's the leader? He's the leader.
Director of the FBI.
Right, exactly. That's the scary thing.
But John, in this case, it wasn't someone lower down. They're accusing the leader of doing it.
Exactly.
But whoever was president at that time, who was president?
Well, Trump was for some of it, but when the posting was, it was during Biden. Right? It was during Biden, I believe. During Biden, when he actually did the posting, the reposting.
I think he had been retired.
And
yes.
Biden
he had been retired, right.
Biden had a bigger problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he did. He did. By the way, it was the same beach where he stumbled on shells that said elect Kamala Harris. Same beach. Ooh. Yeah, I've never had a beach like that, guys.
Was it him too?
Yeah, same guy. Yeah, he said he happened to stumble on that.
And he tweeted that
really was
Yeah, he did. He posted it out. He said, look what I stumbled upon. What a beach, huh?
All the beach bums
son of a blank.
No, it's not.
You have to make a new movie called Beaches.
This is a serious.
Yeah, it is.
This is a serious matter.
It is, and you know why it's scary, John? Because people see that and they get inspired by somebody like that, and somebody who's off their rocker could get inspired by it.
Can we get an up to date? What the heck is going on? Is Victoria Coates on yet?
She's going to be on right after the break. We got an action-packed show.
Katz and Cosby
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby. Everybody wondering, is Iran going to come to the table? There's reports that it's supposed to be by the end of today. So what's going to happen? Let's go to Victoria Coates, former Deputy National Security Advisor for President Trump. Victoria, even in the last 24 hours, this has been interesting. I don't know if you heard at the beginning, but President Trump came out and said, you'll know when the ceasefire is over because there will be one big glow over Iran. In other words, there's not going to be any gray. There won't be any question. So what do you think is in store?
Well, what keeps occurring to me, Rita, is that people should listen or watch what President Trump actually does versus what you're reading in the New York Times or the Washington Post. All of them are saying that Trump's going to cave, he's going to back down, he's not going to stand up to the Iranians, there's going to be some JCPOA 2.0. No. I mean, that's just not happening. He is imposing this reverse blockade. The Iranians are on the ropes. We hit them very hard last night. We can hit them again. And as he said, all you're going to see at that point is a glow. And after this now almost 3 months of action against Iran, why somebody wouldn't take him seriously is a mystery to me.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And he's, a lot of people are wondering, and this was interesting because, of course, he's got the big meeting next week with China. So what role do you think this is all playing in it in terms of the timing or alliances with China?
It's really important. That should be the headline, is the meeting with China, because all that matters is that the United States and China don't get into a conflict. And we just ran our Project Tidal Wave, our big AI simulation of what a battle between the United States and China looks like. Well, guess what? It looks like a 10% global recession the minute the conflict starts, regardless of the outcome. So nobody wants that, including President Trump. So we don't want conflict with China. And that doesn't mean we back down from China. That doesn't mean we're not very, very hard on China. But it does mean we want to try to manage this relationship. So that's the big meeting next week. But the other thing that's interesting is China can't afford to lose Iran. They've already lost Venezuela. So they need that cheap gas coming out of Iran. And so I would see this as a position of great strength for President Trump going into that meeting to say to China, hey, get the Iranians to open the strait. Then you can have your oil.
What do you also think? There was a lot of other big news that came out today, Victoria, with this like a temporary ceasefire with Russia and Ukraine. President Trump tweeted out saying, that they've agreed to just a few days ceasefire, but clearly there's still some attention. I mean, it's amazing. You got so much going on with Iran. And President Trump is also looking over there too. I mean, you think about the weight of what he is juggling and all the chess pieces, because of course Russia is close also to Iran as well.
Right, and this is VE Day. This is Victory in Europe Day, the 81st anniversary of peace after World War II.
And by the way, Victoria, I think you know this. My father said he cried. He had been rescued by American troops and cried when he heard that it was VE Day, because for him in Europe it was the end of the war for that part. So it's very special to me. I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, yeah, particularly for Poland, for your heritage. And my grandfather was there. He was second wave into Utah Beach on D-Day. So, I mean, we all have those memories for those of us who are strong enough to preserve them. So this is a very big day for Europe. And I think for Putin to say it's now a 3-day ceasefire is kind of a big deal. And I would just remind your audience, we are in year 5 of Putin's 3-day war. So this isn't going great for him. Yes, he's doing well with elevated energy prices right this minute, but they have really revised their laws in Russia. So it's now a crime if you close a business. That's how they're trying to keep businesses in Russia, because there's so much capital flight. So let's keep an eye on that space going forward.
Ed Cox.
So curiously, with respect to the parade on VE Day that normally have troops and tanks and all that, they played it down more, didn't they?
They certainly did. It's much more subdued this year because there wasn't really an audience for it. So Russia is always going to be a unique problem set. It's a unique country, a unique culture, but Putin's not immortal. And this isn't going great for them. So as I said, let's keep an eye on that space.
Was there a concern about drones from Ukraine perhaps doing something and disrupting the parade?
Absolutely. And that's another really interesting story that's been percolating over the last couple of months, that Ukraine has quite ingeniously developed its own domestic drone industry. And President Zelensky, God bless him, was running around the Gulf selling these things to Qatar and UAE and Saudi Arabia because they made a better mousetrap. And that's fantastic. I mean, good for them. But the idea that Ukraine has to lose this war, I mean, particularly over the last, I would say 15 months under President Trump's leadership, Ukraine is much stronger than they were under President Biden. And I think that's really worth watching.
Well, the weapons of the future. It's what we started with drones. Now, what nobody talks about, there's underwater drones. They come in underwater and then they come out of the water. And the war in the future is the movies we saw 30, 40 years ago. Terminator 1. And there are not going to be any more soldiers. We're going to send in robots.
No, the maritime drones are the most interesting, John. I think that is, you're 100% right. That's the war of the future. And so hopefully we keep developing that. And I spent this week in Washington at the AI Expo and talking to counterparts, particularly on the Israeli side, about how we're going to maximize our technological advantages. And the underwater drones played a major part in this. So this is really, this is a space where the United States can be dominant. And again, I think that's really going to inform the president when he goes into these meetings in Beijing next week.
Wow, it's a biggie.
Well, Victoria, thank you so much for coming on a Friday evening, taking out time on a Friday evening. Thank you for your patriotism. Thank you for loving America. And thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. And God bless your father, Victoria, too. Wow.
And happy Mother's Day.
Wow.
Yours too. Thank you.
Thank you.
And right now, who do we have coming in?
We have the former governor of Illinois, one of our favorites, John.
And he should be governor again. He was a better governor than what we had.
Oh, my goodness. We really need him back in America. Rod Blagojevich, we wish you were there. My goodness, in Illinois. And, Governor, it's so great to have you. I wish it was under better circumstances. The huge funeral today for this cop, this heroic cop, Chicago police officer John Bartholomew, laid to rest today. And I was watching some of it. Outpouring of support. So many different departments from around the world came in to show support for this guy. And the other one is fighting for his life, the other cop, all because of this horrible career criminal. I can't believe this guy was out and then kills a cop. Tell us, just how the system really, this is soft on crime personified.
Well, this is the result of the Democratic leadership in Illinois these days. It wasn't like that when I was governor. But this is Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson, and before that, Lori Lightfoot. Less so her, frankly, more them. This is the Safety Act and no bail laws. This is the new effort by the Democratic Party to have more social workers and less police officers, defund the police, all of this wrapped in to this terrible tragedy. My prayers go out to Officer Bartholomew, his family. This was at Swedish Covenant Hospital, which is a mile and a half from where I live. I run by that hospital sometimes, and I think about this officer. I think about 9/11. When I think about police officers and what they do, how they serve us, I think about the firefighters and 9/11 and the police officers when they were running up those buildings, trying to help people come out of those buildings, and so many of them lost their lives. The Democratic Party what they've done to the police is really disgraceful, and they don't have the backs of the police. They make the police the villains. And this guy, as a 7-time convicted felon with a decade-long criminal history, he was arrested on an outstanding warrant for escaping electronic monitoring. Carjacked a woman at gunpoint in 2025. What is he doing on the streets? But this isn't an isolated case. There's something like 72,000 people in Cook County and in the Chicagoland area who are walking around with warrants, with outstanding warrants. So there's a reason why there's more than a murder a day in Chicago. There's a reason why Chicago is the crime capital of the world. And the blame lies not just with the perpetrators, certainly them, but with the leaders that we have here, Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson and these crazy left-wing anti-police Democrats.
Yeah, the judge who let him out. We have a good judge here, Judge Weinberg.
Governor, good to talk to you again, sir. So, You have the other aspect. You have the sanctuary city mentality, and you had that poor college girl who's minding her own business, and some idiot politician in Chicago said she was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And the parents have come out and said the person who was in the wrong place at the wrong time was an illegal migrant with a violent history that was in the United States of America. Your thoughts, Governor? And why don't the people of Chicago and Illinois rise up against this terrorism?
Right. Well, to answer your first question, Judge, and too bad you weren't here as a judge at Cook County. We sure could use you. But the answer is there's 1.4 million or more criminals who broke into our country illegally. 14 million broke in. 10 to 15% of them are criminals. Many of them, most of them, violent criminals. And this guy who killed Sheridan Gorman was one of them. And I've said before, and I'll say it again. I believe he was there as a gangbanger on a gang initiation. This poor young girl was there at the beach where my daughters have walked, because this is an area where I live, so I know this very well. And it would have never happened if our borders weren't secure. But the Democratic Party has decided to side with illegal immigration. This is their new politics, irrespective of the fact that over 1 million of those people that are crashing into our country are violent criminals and threats and dangers to the public safety of Americans. With regard to, what we can do about that, you got to throw these people out of office. And why is it that the voters of Chicago and Illinois continue to vote for some of these people? A lot of it has to do with they're not informed, they're misled, superficial politics, and unfortunately, the Democrats in Chicago and in Illinois have controlled so much of the politics in our state for so long that it's very hard for any kind of loyal opposition to try to fight against them and have the resources to do it. But I think the more that this sort of stuff happens, I think more and more people are waking up.
Well, we have another common sense former Democratic governor, Governor Patterson.
How are you today, Governor?
It's always a pleasure talking to you, Governor. I can't wait to meet you.
Well, I assumed exactly what you just said, that people are so forlorn based on these circumstances. But it would seem to me that at a certain point, maybe, people like yourself and some of the people that you work with might want to sit down and talk about a way to try to stop this, because if somebody doesn't, it's just going to multiply.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Governor. And I think I'm the perfect person for that. And I say this because of my not altogether uneventful life experience. I grew up in a kind of a rough and tumble neighborhood in Chicago. I kind of know, a little bit, had some experience with guys who I knew who were gangbangers. I was in prison for 8 years for politics, not for crimes. I was in there with murderers, Crips and Bloods, gangster disciples, gangbangers. I was a Cook County prosecutor. I was a Democrat governor, Democratic congressman. I do believe the criminal justice system is broken. I do believe weaponization of lawfare is the greatest constitutional crisis in American history. And I do believe our criminal justice system has historically been racist. I believe all of those things. But I also believe that you ought to impose common sense on the system. And too much politics has given us laws that take away the discretion of judges, that insist that prosecutors have to pursue certain things when every single case is different. We have to get back to a situation where we judge cases on a case-by-case basis, recognizing first and foremost the responsibility is to keep the public safe. And that means if you're going to err on the side of one way or the other, you err on the side of safety, not on the side of leniency.
Send me a ticket, Governor. I'll come and help you.
Hey.
Yes. I feel like, in all seriousness, Governor Patterson, I do believe I should do more on this. And, I'm active now with an organization called Weaponization Watch, run by a woman named Cynthia Hughes. It's a piece of what, I think I must do. I have to be involved in organizations like Cut 50, who are sort of left of center, but they're very much into criminal justice reform, because there's so much wrong with the other side of that. And the problem is that so much wrong has happened on the hard on crime perspective that it's clouded the judgment of most people. And they don't understand that, yes, there's abuses on the law enforcement side, but they pale in comparison to the threat that comes from those on the criminal side. I live with them for 8 years. I know how they are. A lot of these guys aren't bad guys, but they're wired to basically look and see when the cats are not around, the mice play. You know what I'm saying? What is it saying? Right?
Thank you so much for calling in. I got to go into another interview. I got Senator Kramer calling in from North Dakota. And, Rod, we're going to keep fighting on your side until we can run you for governor again.
And you got to stay more involved too, Governor. I mean, what you just said is so important. Bravo.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, Governor. See you, John.
Thank you.
Let's go to the senator.
Yeah, absolutely. He's calling in now. Senator Kevin Cramer from North Dakota.
Well, Friday night. What the heck is going on? With us today from the great state of North Dakota, Senator Kevin Cramer. And Senator Cramer, I mean, we got so many moving parts. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I think tonight is a good night to talk about, we talk about any number of things. You're right, the moving parts. But speaking of moving parts, Iran and Donald Trump and the negotiations are going on under duress for the Iranians with all the leverage for Donald Trump. I think it's been a fascinating thing to watch over these last several weeks. And while the Democrats keep screaming and hollering and wanting to impeach and do whatever else, Donald Trump is starting to show just why he wrote the book, literally, on negotiations.
Well, he is, let me tell you something. I was in the airline business at one time, and I dealt with India, Pakistan, Israel, Nigeria, and let me tell you, it was an experience.
Well, that's a good word for it. It's an experience. Well, look at this guy, though. Donald Trump, first of all, he always, as you know, and everybody in New York knows, he always negotiates from a position of strength. And when he called for the launch of Operation Epic Fury and said it wouldn't last long, he was right. Other people doubted him, but he was right. And he demonstrated American superiority. He along with the United States Air Force and combined with the Israeli Air Force, the two strongest air forces in the world combined together, demonstrated just how strong and mighty the United States and Israel really are. And then with the Strait of Hormuz, when the Iranians, with what little they had left, thought that they could somehow control the Strait of Hormuz and keep the flow of free goods. By that I mean the free flow of American enterprise through the Strait of Hormuz, but punish the other Arab states in the nation or in the neighborhood, and somehow they could let their oil flow freely through it. Donald Trump once again flexed and put the end to that by blocking all ships that are carrying product in and out of the ports in Iran, while at the same time helping open pathways through the Strait of Hormuz for friendly commerce. And I think at this point now, as we just see it day by day playing out, that Donald Trump has proven to have the upper hand, and you're seeing a much more, I don't want to say necessarily compliant, but a much, much closer negotiation taking place toward peace than war. And then, so again, you have to hand it to Donald Trump and by the way, to his team. I mean, look at Marco Rubio when he steps up to the microphone, what his messages mean and do, and how they comfort the world, and they comfort the markets. They give a sense of confidence to the geopolitics of the region. I just think you're watching a masterful regime doing a masterful job
Absolutely.
Right now in the Middle East.
Senator, knowing Donald Trump for a long time, I will tell you when he said this morning that the fact is he doesn't concern himself with the small skirmishes is because there's a civil war going on in Iran, that there's Iranians that don't want peace. And he's dealing with the Iranians that want peace, and the Chinese, in my opinion, are supporting the Iranians that want peace. So if everybody can get it straight, there's Iranians that want peace and Iranians that don't want peace. And I believe that China is standing on the side of the Iranians that want peace and get this over with. And the other thing I have to say is the fact is that history repeats itself. And one of my historian friends said to me, this happened 150 years ago in the shores of Tripoli. The shores of Tripoli had to do with the Barbary Coast, where they wouldn't let the American ships go through. I'm going to say, does that mean the Marines are going to come up with a new hymn from the shores of Tripoli to the shores of Hormuz?
Well, that could be arranged probably, but John, the illustrations you just used are wonderful in this, illustrating just the complexity of geopolitics. And your illustration of China being on the side of those who want peace, I think represents what Donald Trump intuitively understands, and that's it. At the end of the day, all politics is about economics. And China, while they are more naturally aligned, perhaps, with a dictatorship, a strong man, even though they're not communists, they are obviously radical Islamists, but they have similar interests in that the Chinese have been buying discounted oil from Iran for a long time. But at the end of the day, they're not true brothers and sisters in terms of their politics. And China is smart enough to know that they'd rather be with the side of the victor than the side of the loser. And that's the difference between our alliances and their alliances. And the same is true of Russia. The same is true of North Korea. They're all sort of friends in that they have a common enemy. But when that common enemy is stronger than their ally, they become more compliant with us. And so you're exactly right, and that's a great illustration of how history repeats itself, and also how the Chinese want to buy oil, and right now they're not able to buy discounted oil or any oil from Iran because we're not letting Iran's oil out.
And I'm going to give you the good news. With history, President Trump, and I discussed it with him, doesn't repeat itself, where we cut out Japan just before World War II completely from oil. President Trump says, China, you can have all the oil you want. Let's just negotiate price. So it's only about price, not about you're not going to have any.
Well, therein lies the other thing he understands about economics, that supply and demand can come together in the United States.
Understood.
Because we have it. So it's awesome. It's good. It's good to be us, John.
Senator Kramer, thank you for coming on this Friday evening, and God bless America, and let's talk again soon.
Let's do it. Have a great weekend.
Wow, great discussion. We love Senator Kramer. And you guys, we're going to take a break, and then we have Joe Concha. He's got an interesting story about Hassan Piker and, let's just say, the New York mayor. We'll talk about that after the break.
Katz and Cosby
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we are back here on Katz and Cosby, and joining us now is Joe Concha. We love having him every day, especially on Fridays. It puts a smile on our face. Joe, but you got some interesting stuff that you want to share. Go ahead.
Oh, well, first with the Virginia redistricting, obviously, that is just a huge decision by the Virginia Supreme Court. It takes away 4 seats that Democrats tried to steal in a state that Kamala Harris won by 5 points. They used to have, or they do have right now, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans. That sounds about right for Virginia. They were trying to make it 10 Democrats, 1 Republican. Right. The Supreme Court there just shot it down, and with all the other redistricting going on in places like Tennessee and Florida, you're looking at a net gain, if all this game's out, of about 14 seats to Republicans. That may be enough to hold on to the House in November.
Yeah, what a change that is. I mean, that's enormous. And we were just saying that that the Democrats are like, we don't know if we have time to reconfigure it anywhere else. So that's a biggie. Now, you also have some stuff on Hassan Piker, this guy who has this is the guy who said America deserved 9/11.
And also said that Jews are inbreds, unquote. Said the worst day of the 20th century is when the Soviet Union fell. Says he would absolutely support Hamas 10,000 times more than Israel. And now he is saying, because of this Virginia ruling, that there needs to be violent revolution. Violently. So he's literally calling for violence at this point. So, you know what? It's time to deport this guy. I know he was a naturalized citizen here, but he's obviously a threat to this country. And this is something where we have to do something about these naturalized immigrants who only want to do harm to the United States.
History repeats itself. Being Governor Patterson, we're talking about it before. Are we in 1850 pre-Civil War?
It almost feels that way, John, right? I mean, just the way the left talks about assassinations of President Trump just so flippantly, like it's just the new normal. We've almost like memory hold completely what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. What was that, 2 weeks ago? And we don't even talk about it, hear about it anymore. It's a shame because all the violent rhetoric is coming from one side. That we do know, guys.
You know what's scary about Hassan Piker, this guy, is that he's been so embraced. I mean, when you first saw him, you thought, okay, who's going to be embracing him? He's out on the campaign trail. He's out on with the Michigan Senate candidate. He's out Chris Murphy in Connecticut. He knows Mamdani. I mean, it seemed like he's being coddled by. Have you heard anybody condemning him on the Democratic side?
John Fetterman, if you want to even call Fetterman a Democrat at this point, right? And people like Mamdani, people like Ro Khanna, AOC, Bernie Sanders, all go on his podcast and kiss his butt. Give him a platform. They give him legitimacy. And this is somebody who should be shunned, condemned, and ultimately deported, in my opinion. Governor
Patterson, who we don't want to deport. Go ahead.
Joe, at least not yet.
Not yet.
Joe, you don't mind if I condemn him, do you?
Yes, please. The more the merrier.
All right, here's your chance, Gov. Here you go, Gov.
No, his actions are outrageous. They're the type of thing that I would think 40 years ago, if anyone did this on either side of the aisle, they would be deported or at least arrested and tried for the threats they made.
Yeah. And threats, and again, you call Jews inbreds. That's the end. Like, he shouldn't get. The New York Times gave him a full hour on their podcast just 2 weeks ago. Again, this guy is being normalized, and he's seen as a vessel to certain votes out there. Yeah, the anti-Semitic votes. That's what he certainly brings in. But you're right. I mean, the fact that he's embraced by Democrats just says everything. Especially Mamdani, who had him to his victory party. They're good friends. They've taken 1,000 pictures together. I don't hear the mayor say anything about this because, well, he probably believes it himself to a certain extent.
Well, we're going overtime today, special for you.
No, we love you.
And thank you for coming on. And I'm going to be listening to you tonight at 9 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. And on Sunday at 11. I always listen to you Sunday at 11.
And what do we stand for, guys?
Truth.
Justice.
Thanks for listening to Katz and Cosby with John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. You can hear Katz and Cosby weekdays at 5. It's the 5 o'clock show on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
The Marine Toys for Tots foster care program is bringing hope to children who need it most. Every 2 minutes, a child enters foster care, often with only a small bag of belongings. More than 400,000 children face trauma and uncertainty, many before age 8. This May, during Foster Care Awareness Month, Toys for Tots is creating Room for Joy. In 2025, nearly 375,000 children received comfort through toys, books, and essentials, reminding them they are not alone. Donate now and change a child's life.